The yearning to be better, to transcend our limitations, is as old as consciousness itself. From the Stoics on their porches to the monks in their monasteries, humanity has always sought wisdom for living a good life. Yet, the modern self-improvement movement presents a radical departure. It reframes this ancient quest not as a journey of inner discovery, but as a problem to be solved through consumption. Get healthy, get smarter, save time, feel better, feel confident, be happier, change yourself. These are the promises of self-help, packaged and sold to a world convinced it is fundamentally broken. And they sound pretty good, because we've been taught to believe we are not healthy, smart, efficient, confident, or happy enough. And perhaps we do need help. Perhaps opening that book, buying that seminar, or listening to that podcast is the first step. But we must be aware that the self-improvement movement has us in a chokehold. It has masterfully convinced us that we are inherently lacking, so that we will purchase our way toward a pre-packaged version of happiness. The plan is working flawlessly. The self-improvement industry was valued at approximately $38 billion in 2022 and is projected to surge to nearly $80 billion by 2030. This explosive growth isn't happening in a vacuum. It's mirrored by rising rates of anxiety and depression globally, with the World Health Organization reporting a 25% increase in their prevalence during the first year of the COVID-19 pandemic alone. The industry thrives in this fertile ground of unease. Americans spend over $11 billion annually on this quest. Over 20 million self-help books are sold each year in the US alone. The market for personal growth apps, promising enlightenment in bite-sized notifications, was worth over $1.1 billion in 2023 and continues its relentless climb. Approximately 10% of adults in the United States have attended a high-priced self-improvement seminar. These are colossal numbers, built on the subtle but pervasive message that our current selves are merely a before picture in a transformation we have yet to buy. It's normal to grapple with feelings of depression and anxiety. It is the human condition to feel unsure about our future. Of course, seeking outside help can be a sign of strength, but far too often, the self-help industry preys on these very real insecurities, offering simplistic solutions to complex existential problems for a quick buck. In a divisive and frightening historical moment, with the endless anxiety of doom scrolling at our fingertips, these promises of control and empowerment are almost irresistible. The potential benefits are alluring. We might learn to regulate our emotions, budget our time, or build a healthier routine. We might gain a deeper sense of self-awareness, understanding our strengths and weaknesses, and boosting our self-esteem. But for all the promises the self-help industry makes, there is one major, inescapable pitfall: the fallacy of the universal solution. No person has the same experience, the same trauma, the same mind. Therefore, no single solution can apply to all. This touches upon a deep philosophical truth, articulated by existentialists like Jean-Paul Sartre. Existence precedes essence. There is no preordained human nature. It is through our choices that we create who we are. The self-help industry inverts this. It offers a prepackaged essence, the hyper-productive entrepreneur, the serene yogi, and sells you the steps to achieve it, robbing you of the difficult but essential task of creating your own meaning. This one-size-fits-all approach is particularly paralyzing in professional life. The advice for a graphic designer is wildly different from that for a financial analyst. Yet, the market is flooded with generic advice on leadership and networking. You can set ambitious goals, but if you're drowning in contradictory advice, how far can you really get? It's like having a problem and being lectured by a dozen different people, each with their own unshakable opinion. It's a complex web of advice, some good, some not, and it's almost impossible to draw the distinction. This phenomenon is not new. The first widely read self-help books emerged in the 1930s, during the Great Depression. Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, 1936, and Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, 1937, were published at a time of immense economic and social uncertainty. As wealth inequality soared and the world teetered on the brink of war, these books offered a sense of agency to a populace that felt powerless. Fast forward to the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis, and history repeats itself. The 2010s saw an explosion of online gurus like Brené Brown, who spoke of wholehearted living, and Tim Ferriss, who promised a, quote, 4-hour workweek. They addressed the anxieties of a generation disillusioned with traditional career paths and institutions. Then came COVID-19. The world was thrown into chaos, forcing a global confrontation with mortality and purpose. The already lucrative world of self-help found a new, captive audience. People who had never before questioned their life's trajectory were now contemplating their very existence. The need for answers, any answers, skyrocketed. Now, like in the 1930s, the world is in flux. It's natural to ask for help, but the source of that help is critical. With the proliferation of self-improvement on social media, anyone with a charismatic persona and a good camera can become a guru. No credentials needed. The results of this unregulated industry are mixed, at best. Studies suggest a staggering 85% of people who start self-improvement efforts abandon them within 6 months, often due to unrealistic goals or a lack of genuine support. And what about the cost? High-end coaching programs can run from $5,000 to $20,000. Even the average consumer spends $200 to $500 annually. This industry doesn't just sell hope. It profits from the perpetual deferral of it. It creates a cycle of dependency. Diving into this world often leads to perfectionism and burnout. Approximately 67% of people report feeling overwhelmed by the sheer number of strategies available, leading to decision fatigue. The constant focus on growth fosters a gnawing sense of inadequacy because the finish line is always moving. Perfection is always just out of reach. This is psychologically damaging. The gurus with their curated social media feeds become idealized, unattainable role models, their success stories setting impossible benchmarks. The result? We become hyper-focused on our flaws, often becoming more dissatisfied than when we started. The hustle culture preached by many in the movement glorifies relentless effort and equates self-worth with productivity. This is a phenomenon cultural theorist Mark Fisher might have called capitalist realism applied to the soul. The pervasive belief that the only viable way to exist is to be constantly optimizing. We are no longer human beings but human doings. This inevitably leads to sacrificing rest and joy. Does that really make us happier? This all-or-nothing thinking leaves no room for partial progress or the messy reality of being human. Worse still, toxic positivity is rampant. It's the influencer constantly cheering that everything will be great, even when it isn't. It's the book with no chapter on setbacks. This is a profound psychological error. As the psychoanalyst Carl Jung argued, true wholeness comes not from repressing our shadow self, the parts of us we deem negative, but from integrating it. By denying sadness and failure, the movement encourages a fractured psyche. Social media, with its comparison culture and curated highlight reels, is the perfect medium to perpetuate this myth. The more helpless people feel, the more they seek help, even if the help is what's making them feel helpless in the first place. This can lead to a state of analysis paralysis, a fear of missing out, FOMO, on the perfect routine. You might be meditating and journaling, but you skipped your resistance training. Does that mean you've failed? According to these rigid systems, it often does. This fosters self-blame, ignoring the vast web of circumstances, privileges, and systemic factors that shape our lives. It's a dangerous oversimplification that ignores the wisdom of Stoic philosophers, who taught the dichotomy of control, focusing on what is in our power, our judgments, our responses, and accepting what is not. The self-help industry blurs this line, promising control over the uncontrollable and leading to inevitable guilt. Ultimately, the goal is independence, financial, emotional, physical. but true independence requires thinking for ourselves. The business of self-improvement relies on us remaining convinced that we cannot. Its commoditization is made possible by modern capitalism's need for perpetual demand. By emphasizing our ongoing inadequacy, it ensures we keep buying solutions. It creates a, quote, capitalist productivity fetish where our value is measured by our output. What if, instead, we were just worth something for simply being? That idea is anathema to a system that needs us to keep consuming. This commercialization also exacerbates inequality. Expensive seminars and coaching are accessible only to the wealthy, creating an exclusive club of the enlightened. Meanwhile, predatory gurus exploit the vulnerable with overpriced, ineffective programs. It's no wonder that figures like Tony Robbins and Deepak Chopra have amassed fortunes worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The pursuit of profit often overshadows the pursuit of genuine well-being. The truth is, these guides can have a reverse effect. A 2016 study found that consumers of growth-oriented self-help books showed higher levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, while consumers of problem-focused books showed more depressive symptoms. The industry, rooted in well-intentioned values, has become a machine of expectation and pressure. So how do we navigate this? We must shift our focus from perpetual consumption to sustainable, intrinsic growth. Find one piece of advice that truly resonates and explore it on your own terms. We must be wary of perfectionism and embrace self-compassion. Progress, not perfection, is the goal. Recognizing small triumphs and accepting setbacks is the only way to keep going without burning out. We must seek adaptable frameworks we can tailor to our own unique lives, not rigid dogma. Take the advice that serves you and leave the rest. Self-improvement is nothing without self-expression and self-acceptance. Once we value what makes us unique, we are less susceptible to the siren song of any one program. Is self-improvement truly dangerous? The desire to grow is not, but the industry that has been built around it. An industry that tells us we are broken and sells us back a manufactured version of wholeness is. The greatest myth is that a better version of yourself is just one purchase away. We've been sold a lie. The real journey is to approach ourselves with a tactful eye, to lean into our authentic selves, to reject conformity, and to accept that wanting to be better doesn't mean we aren't already good. The goal is not to become better, but to become more fully and unapologetically ourselves.